thank you for showing up this morning. I know we have a lot of things going on, and I appreciate you giving me your time. Also, please partake of the refreshments. I knew that would get people here. I know how teachers are. We're like police officers. Donuts, we're there. And there are some hard candies in the boxes as well. Okay, so today's presentation is on elevating student writing, and we're going to go over a couple strategies that can hopefully help us get over the bump as we go into the milestones. So let's get started. I want to recap our meeting goal. I've adapted our one from our last meeting. So at our last one, we did review the overall and the Beacon spring scores, and we went through and we identified students' use of standard English conventions as our weakness. Okay? And so today we're going to preview 3 targeted strategies to help us improve their grammar, specifically syntax and mechanics in their writing. And these activities can also be tailored to our other subject areas, math and science and social studies. Yes. All right, a reminder of our SIP goal. The percent of students scoring proficient and distinguished will increase from 44.85%, or 369 students, to 49.85%, 411 students, as measured by this year's milestones. Unfortunately, I didn't do the math, so I don't know, what does that work out to, 58? 58 kids? We need 58 kids?
42.
Is it 42? Oh wait, you're right, yeah.
Is it 42?
Yeah, I'm not the math person. This is why I do. It's 40 something. That's good. Yep. Almost going. Yes.
Better than 58.
All right, so this is where we stood in winter. 27.52 prepared, 24.81 support needed. This is where we stood in spring. 38.71 prepared. So we had an increase of 11.19% prepared. That is great. And then we also had a decrease in our support needed from 8.28%. So that was great. So we had an increase here, and obviously our near target kids, they grew too. So, but these 2 areas, we had significant growth. And remember, we have a lot of ESOL students in this, so having this growth, it may not, some of their scores may not look that great on paper, but if they're growing, we're happy.
Yes.
All right, so, ready, set, let's do this. All right, so we're gonna start with this quote by Pam Allen. I actually picked this up at a workshop that I was in for Cobb County, the Skill Teachers Bill Skill Readers. Reading is like breathing in, writing is like breathing out. Okay? So, I'm gonna give you a moment, talk amongst yourselves, see what you think, and we'll share out a couple of takeaways.
I say yes, reading is like breathing in, it's like oxygen,
Yeah.
because you need it for everything. You have to know how to read for, all subject areas, and writing is like breathing out. Well, the breathing out is like waste. I did not, it's kind of breathing out, it's going around the world.
Wait, what did you say? That's what we're kind of breathing out.
That is an interesting quote. I've never thought of it that way, but that's absolutely.
Yeah, I
spot
haven't
on.
heard that either.
Yes. I think it's for some people, and I mean I'm not a writer, but for some people it's cathartic. Like they journal, and that's part of it's therapy for them. So yeah, definitely.
It's a release. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It's the release. We can let it go. Yes. Because I remember sitting in the session and I was sitting there and I'm like, inhale, exhale, trying to figure it out. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I've got it. I see where this is going. But yes, I thought that was a great thing, because usually when we think about reading comprehension, we just think about reading. But there's a big component writing as well, because if they can't read, they certainly can't write. And as that is something we know. All right, so the research, we have some actual research here that says that writing about material improves students' comprehension. We know that. Most of us are English teachers. And teaching students how to write improves their reading comprehension, reading fluency, and word reading. When we were doing those 3-minute scholastic reading tests, yes, we know all about the reading fluency and the comprehension. But yes, if they can write about it in whatever way, then that'll even help. And then increasing how much they write also enhances their reading comprehension. One of the classes I took, I think it was about 4 or 5 semesters ago, we talked intensively about writing and how they need to write every day. Even if it's a quick write, they should be doing some type of writing, whatever it is, in all subjects, because it can't just rely on English, it's got to rely on our social studies, science, and math teachers too. So, all right. So why does writing instruction lead to better writers? Well, it draws on these common sources of knowledge, and actually these are in Scarborough's reading rope, which I will show you shortly. We have the knowledge of words, the syntax, specifically what I'll be focusing on, usage, and text features. All of those go together. And here's a list of writing tasks that you can use in your classroom to help. Writing responses to teacher-generated questions about the text, so text-dependent questions. Even your math word problems. And then your informational text and science. I'm sure you have a lot, because you guys use, what is it, CER?
Yes.
Yes. And then creating and writing responses to personal questions about text, taking notes about materials read. So this is where our whole idea here of, what's our little chart called that we have? Oh gosh, it just, cubes. Is it cubes? Yes, I think is it cubes?
Well, that's what we
That's
have
the
for that.
math.
The annotating one.
The writing strategies.
Yes,
The
what is it?
annotation.
Oh, read with a pencil.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it,
it.
read with a pencil. Yes, even though I don't agree with some of the ways you do that, I think most of us English teachers kind of went, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, we went with the flow. So, writing a gist or summary of the text. I tried a great 12-word trick with my AC kids. It was a lot of fun. It was actually fun watching them get frustrated doing it. But they were able to take this long passage, multi-paragraphs, and break it down and then come up with a 12-word sentence. Yes, it takes some practice. Making a story about what you've read. You could do that in your science class as well. Describing and writing how to apply ideas from a text. And then the biggie, which we're sure our kids are going to see on milestones, building a written argument to support or refute their ideas. Okay, so as a recap, some of you are familiar with this. This is Scarborough's Reading Rope from 2001, and it goes through language comprehension and word recognition, which are all intertwined together to lead to a skilled reader. And so all of these components work together. We're specifically focusing on language structure here. We've got syntax and semantics, and then here I have it broken down so you can see. So we've got sentence level comprehension, grammar and word order, structure of the sentence, and then the meanings of the words and phrases and how it's used in the context. Okay? So we've got the reading rope, but we also have the writing rope. The writing rope. This is Sedita's writing rope. This is actually relatively new. I went and got the book on this because I kept hearing people talk about it, and I was like, wait a minute, there's a book? Let me get it. So she goes even further. So she takes this here from Scarborough's Reading Rope and she breaks it down. We've got critical thinking, syntax, text structure, and writing craft. And you'll see there in syntax, grammar and syntactic awareness, sentence elaboration, and punctuation. And those are the key things that I'm going to focus on today. All right, any questions so far? Good? All right, people. Let's get to work. Yes. So, our first strategy, cups editing. At first I was like, oh, isn't this some elementary thing? We middle school teachers don't know anything about it. However, I found it can be adapted to middle school and high school as well. So the purpose is to use a chart, and you can make an anchor chart to post in your classroom. In your folders there, I've provided copies, because you won't be able to see them, on the board as well. But they will focus on checking for capitalization, usage, punctuation, and spelling. And then they can even create their own as a reference to remember. That might be a good idea, having them create their own. Or you guys could create one as a class and you could post it in the classroom. But I never really thought about this one because, like I said, anytime I'd seen it, it was elementary. So, for capitalization, you could check for capitalization of proper nouns, places, months, days of the week, and you can see usage, subject-verb agreement, that's always a biggie with our kids. Verb tenses, are they correct and do they match? And then also, pronouns referring to specific subject matter. I was reviewing pronouns with my 6th graders last week, and they had a lot of questions. Because we had one, and it said the taxi driver, and they wanted to use they because they didn't know, but I said, right now, you still need to refer to the taxi driver as he, so we know it's singular for now. So they were kind of confused because they were ready to go with the new way, but I'm like, nope, stick with this in case somebody reading your milestones essay says nope. So your punctuation and then spelling, okay? That's a biggie because as we've noticed with some of our kids who have reading comprehension issues, they mistakenly use words all the time. Instead of using like influence, they might put in imposter just because I think that's what it is. Because they're in that old school of thought where they're supposed to guess the word, or maybe we don't guess the word. Okay, so these are some examples of the ones I have for you. This one is quite elaborate because this one actually works for middle or high school. And like I said, it can be tailored to whatever. Because this one, they actually changed it to sentence structure. So for our AC students, this is great. It even talks about comma splices. And then over here on this side for the C and the U, they have some great things in here about usage. And I love this. Have you replaced the following adjectives with precise words? So good and bad. And it gives you examples of words to use. Spectacular, intelligent. Okay. Instead of using amazing, awe-inspiring. So I thought, oh, that's a great idea. And then also getting rid of really sad for your adverbs and really smart, use depressed or was a genius, would sound a lot better. And then it talks about apostrophes, commas, and then you even have a section on colons. My 6th graders, they always ask me, how do I use a colon? So that's advanced for 6th grade, because that's more of a high school, because we're just trying to tackle the semicolon. So, any questions about that one?
This is really good.
You think you can use it?
Oh, I just said really good. This is excellent.
You're learning how to write small. All right, and then this one, I like this one, and this is, I think, something where I would give my AC students and my on level, I'd make some changes to it, but it's got a self-editing checklist. And I like how detailed it is, and then they can make their own comments of what they need to do. Now, we know though, when they get a checklist, what do? Just like we do. Yes, just like we do. So of course they're gonna check all that stuff off and go, yeah, I got it. But then here's the peer editing version as well, and they can make 3 comments or suggestions. And I always say, please, constructive criticism, don't criticize the other person. Leave that up to me. I'll be the meanie, you be the nice person, and tell them what's good about it. So there are those 2 questions.
I like the self-reflection piece.
I do too, because that's so important for them at this age. Because they run up to me, and I'm sure you guys experience this too. They run up to me and they've written one sentence. Ms. Hindle, how's this sentence? Is this okay? Is this a good way to start? I'm like, well, what do you think about it? I said, I'm not gonna read every sentence you write and critique it right now. You've got to do it. So I think this would help. This would help a lot. All right, so everybody's good on cups? Okay, no questions. All right, so now, this was cute. Sentence anagrams, or it might be called sentence scramble. We've all seen anagrams, right? Where you get the letters mixed up in a word and you gotta figure out what the word is. Like cinema, Iceman, angel, gleam, you can make new words out of them or they can be scrambled. Well, there's also one for sentences. Yes, sentences. This is kind of like that activity that we were doing with the different clauses and the phrases and everything. But here's an example. You would give them these, what's that, 5 words? Night, wait, the, until, and hatchlings. And then they would put the sentence in order. You could cut these out, put them on note cards. Much the same way you could do this with math and your equations and your formulas and stuff. you could cut those out too. So, because they're, to me, in my mind, those are sentences as well. So, but here's some suggestions on how you can use anagrams or scrambles. You can use them from the text. I was going to pull some from some recent things we read, but due to lack of time, I resorted to ChatGPT to help me make some. Okay, you could put your newly learned vocab terms. That would be great. That would, again, go for all of us. You can relate it to your everyday classroom experiences, like when you guys are doing your dissections in science class and whatever else, yes. And then you can introduce it in just a few words and then gradually build up, because that would be great for our ESOL kids, especially our new English learners. Because with some of them, we're just trying to get a basic subject and a verb, okay? Just the cat ran. So that's good too. And then you can also scaffold them by including punctuation, so they know, oh, that one goes at that's the last word, and then the capital letter. But I'm the type of person that throw in like some type of proper noun or something in there too to mess them up. Just because. All right, and so here are the steps. This is something you can do whole class, because actually I'm going to try this today and see how it works out, because I think this would work well. I'm going to try the advanced one and see if that one works. So you can do it as whole class, small groups. You can create your sets of word cards, or like I've given you several handouts there for the sentence scramble activity. So you should have 2 of those. You've got one that is on level, and then I have advanced sentence scramble activity. So, and you can use this, you can incorporate mini lessons, you can review complete sentences, go back to subjects and predicates. You could even, if you wanted to get more advanced, you could throw in independent and dependent clauses, whatever. You could tailor this to whatever you're doing. So then the kids, they're gonna read the words on the cards, or in our case, on paper, and they're gonna create meaningful, complete sentences with them, okay? And you can do several sentences, depending on how you wanna set this up, that follow the same structure. So if you're doing compound sentences, you could set this up where they're all compound sentences. Or if you want to do whatever, complex, either, okay? And then also remember, focus on that gradual release of responsibility. So I do, we do, and then you do. That's always important. All right, so take a look at what I've given you there, okay? Any questions about those? Yeah, and like I said, I put this in ChatGPT. I asked it to make, let's see, what did I ask it to do? I said to make a sentence scramble activity for 7th grade ELA students focusing on simple sentences. And then I asked it to make an advanced for more advanced children, and it gave me that, and guess what? It also gave me the answer key. Yes, because I'm sure with some time, I mean, I could probably figure out number 4 on the advanced. Even he finished the work, he of the day still tired was. I could probably figure that out with a little thought, but we always, as teachers, we like to have an answer key. Okay, and I can provide that to you if you would like that.
Sometimes I ask it the answer to a question because I'm not sure how to do it.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
It's great for making your learning targets. I've done that many times. Actually, it helped me with my goal for this. All right, and then the next one, this is the one I found the most interesting, and this is the one that we're gonna do today. Okay, you guys are looking at me like, uh-oh, what's she got for us? So, sentence combining. All right, so there's a lot of research to back the use of sentence combining. It says it's an effective method for helping all students, all ages, and it's an alternative to teaching traditional grammar, because we don't teach grammar like we used to back in the old days. So this is a great way, and then you can incorporate those mini lessons and what you want to focus on. And then sentence combining has consistently had higher effects on student sentence writing. And that's what we need to get us over that bubble with those kids who could go from proficient to distinguished. Because it doesn't take much, and we see that a lot with the AC students. Okay, so here I've given you some simple sentences, pretty basic. So I gave you the book was good, the movie was good. Okay, pretty simple. So the book and movie were good. Okay, we could talk about compound subjects here. The movie and the book were good. We could also talk about how we're going from singular verb to a plural verb. Okay, so we've got that. And then it gets a little more complex. These are still simple sentences. The weather was perfect. The team was playing soccer. They can add in words. If you're using this to show them how to use a comma and a conjunction, this is a great way to have them combine sentences. The weather was perfect and the team was playing soccer. Or the team was playing soccer in perfect weather. Or the perfect weather allowed the team to play soccer. Okay, so you can add in words. You can get them to focus on more vivid verbs. Okay? So it's not just was playing. Okay. So any questions about that? All right, so here's the next one. This one's a little more challenging. Okay. And I even color coded it because I wanted you to see how those 7 sentences were made into this one sentence. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's okay. Yes. There's a folder with all kinds of little goodies I made. Also partake of the donuts and the candy in the boxes. Oh, and I forgot to point out, I do have the parking lot here, so if you have some questions you'd like me to answer later, you can put them on your sticky and place them in the parking lot. So, didn't want to forget about that. All right, so look at these basic sentences. Wildlands are lands. The lands are private, the lands are public, the lands support native ecosystems. You can see them. Okay, so then you can tell your children, okay, you're going to take all of these, you're going to combine it in one sentence. So, wildlands are public and private lands that support native ecosystems, including grazed rangeland and timberland landscapes. That, I think, would be quite challenging for most of our students. I think even our AC kids would struggle with this. It tried to make it all into one. And here's another example. Public and private wildlands are lands, including grazed rangeland and active timberland landscapes that support native ecosystems. And you can see, according to my color coding here, where each one goes. Did I get them all in there? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because when I was making this, I was like, okay, what color can I use next? What color? All right, look good? All right, so now we're gonna do it. Yes, I am that person. All right, so these are your sentences. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and I did not know that's what it was called, is a collection of marine debris. The debris includes plastic. The collection is the ocean. The ocean is the North Pacific Ocean. Marine debris is litter from land, and the marine debris ends up in bodies of water. And the last sentence, the bodies of water are large. I can just imagine getting that sentence from my students. The bodies of water are large. Well, of course they are. They're bodies of water. All right, so it's your turn. I'll give you a couple of minutes. You can use one sentence.
Okay.
One sentence. Yes, there are sticky notes, there are pencils, whatever you may need. And you can make this into a game. You could have your students do this, and then the most creative sentence gets a prize.
I call them super sentences.
Woo! Something for the parking lot.
You could do this in math too.
Yes.
I want to get together with you and try to make a better thing than cubes. I do not like cubes.
We can do that. We
It
certainly
doesn't
can.
help them break down or understand the structure of the problem or the quantity. It is not, all it does is tell them to read with a pencil basically.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, that's not helpful.
And Mrs. Burt, before you came in, I showed them the writing rope
Yes.
so they could see how that then ties into Scarborough's rope.
Yes.
And the book, the writing rope, I went and bought it. And it talks about activities that you can do in all subject areas. and it's great for grades 4 through 8, so it would be perfect for us. So-
I have started having my children write that answer to the question, like take the question and restate it as a sentence with a blank.
Yes.
So then they know what they are trying to solve.
Mhm.
That's half the battle.
Well, I noticed on that assignment that we're doing during intervention, the one about, let's see, the error analysis. I don't know if you guys, and I'm thinking, shouldn't you be doing this, in sentences, cause it says identify and explain the error?
Yeah.
And I was noticing kids aren't making sentences, and I'm looking at the answer key, cause, you know, I'm not a math person. And I'm like, how do I check this? Cause they didn't explain anything,
Yeah.
they just threw some numbers down.
Because they've always been taught to justify their answers with the solution.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm like, that's not everything.
yes.
They need to be writing something to explain what do those numbers mean? Where did they come from? Why did you do that?
Yes.
Why did you multiply or divide or do whatever? They should be able to explain all the pieces.
And this is gonna be even more important next year because we have new ELA standards and the activities on the milestones are changing. It's no longer going to be write an argument essay. They're going to give you something and you are going to, what is it, revise?
Yes. Oh, the peer editing.
The peer
And,
editing.
and we found, we were looking for something, I don't know what we were looking for, but I stumbled across, it already has preview questions on the state website. They have preview questions, they've removed the study guide for this year.
Oh,
for some
yes.
reason, But they
Kendra
have.
pointed that out to me
Yeah,
yesterday.
they have preview questions for 25-20.
Yes. I'm wondering if they're gonna put some of those on as field questions.
I feel like they are.
Because I was thinking about it. I think they
That makes
absolutely
sense.
are. Yes. I was thinking the same thing, because I'm like, they usually put some questions on there just to see what's going on. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
And maybe we should, tomorrow, intervention, have everybody pull that up and just look at it.
That's a good
That's
idea.
a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And those of you who have to leave, I totally understand. Thank you for making the commitment to join me today. Okay, so anybody have a possible sentence they want to share out?
We got it.
You got it? All right, let's hear it.
All right.
Oh, wait.
You read my right.
Okay.
Yeah, I can read it. In the North Pacific Ocean, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a collection of marine debris, including plastic and other litter from land, which ends up in large bodies of water.
Okay, all right. And Ms. Burt, you got one too?
In the North Pacific Ocean, the large Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a collection of marine and land litter, including plastic, that ends up in large bodies of water.
Ooh, very good. You guys did great. I mean, how long do you think it would take our kids though?
Oh, wow.
A minute.
A minute.
A minute.
I don't know, I'm thinking half the class period.
They say 3 times as long as us, but I'm afraid this was gonna take like 10 or 12.
Yeah, that's good, that's good. And I got 2 examples over here. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a collection of marine debris, including plastic in the North Pacific Ocean that comes from litter on land that ends up in large bodies of water. And there's another one, litter from land ends up in large bodies of water and becomes a collection of plastic marine debris in the North Pacific Ocean, known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So I think these are great things that you could do. You could do, like I said, the mini lessons. You could also maybe focus on like some of the brush strokes and how to incorporate the brush strokes and commas. Ms. Burt?
I use those as warm-ups as the kids come in, and the more they did them, and I would time them, sometimes they didn't finish them, but the more they did them, the more it became a challenge, like a puzzle. And I would give out stickers and like Smarties, you know, or the Dum-Dums, for those that had the best sentences, and so they would end up competing to see who could write the best super sentence. So the more they practice, the better they get.
And I have 2 books. This was something that we did back when I taught high school years ago. And you give the students, they get mentor sentences from different works of literature. I had from poetry. And then they're supposed to model the mentor sentence. And it gives them something specific to focus on. So I've got those for middle school and high school. I haven't tried them as much this year because I just, like you guys, haven't had the time. And you need that time, especially with the AC students, because they want to discuss it more so, and they all want to share as well. So when you've got 25 of them wanting to share their one sentence, but they do talk about it. And that's the other thing. We need to get the kids talking about what they're doing in their writing. Not just looking at it and us going, oh, that sounds great, but they need to be talking about what they did, how they can improve it. Their peers need to be talking about, oh, I like the way you used that. That was a great way to define that. Okay. All right, so how do I introduce it? Much like the others, a gradual release of responsibility. You start with the basic tasks. I've given you, like I said, those 2 sheets in your packet for the sentence combining. You'll see I started out with 2 sentences: the dog barked, the dog chased the squirrel. Okay, and you can make a mini lesson about whatever you wanted if you wanted to do the compound predicate there with barked and chased. Okay, so that goes on. You just basic, and then down at the bottom there's a part 2. Add style and detail. Students finished their tests. They turned in their papers. They left the classroom quietly. Okay. And then there's also a challenge. Pick one combined sentence and add vivid details such as descriptive words or prepositional phrases if that's something you've been working on at that time. Okay. And then you'll see the advanced one. It says each group contains 3 to 4 simple sentences. Combine them into 1 or 2 complex or compound complex sentences that retain the original meaning. And it has suggestions on using conjunctions, relative clauses, participles, and other techniques. And there's even, this one gets progressively harder. There's a challenge for this one. It says pick 2 of your combined sentences, revise them again using figurative language or a different sentence structure. And then they go and highlight the change. And I can see some of our kids enjoying this and wanting to talk about how they changed the sentence, what they added, and even some of them would even tell us why they did certain things. But back to this, just like this, the handout I gave you, start with simple sentences, just a few, then go to multiple. You could have students work collaboratively. You could put them in groups. I mean, if you wanted to do this whole class, I think you could, but it might be kind of crazy. It works well with small groups. I've got my tables, desks arranged in groups of 4, so this would be a great group activity. And then you can incorporate discussions about parts of speech. Don't specifically focus on them labeling them, because as we know, they're not that great at that. And then for scaffolding for our English language learners, we could give them a list of conjunctions or even sentence structures. And I have to keep referring, especially with my 6th graders, go over there and look on the pronoun chart. Go look on the pronoun chart. See what's over there, because they don't know. But there are lots of things that you can do with that. All right, so what's next? And I kind of have already touched upon this with the sentence combining. These are some questions that you could have the kids answer. What process did you follow to create your sentences? Which combination sounds best? That'd be great if you're doing a game, if you're doing it, setting it up as who's got the best sentence gets a prize, and have them, have the other students tell you, well, what did you like best about this one? Which seems the clearest? And that is always a biggie with our kids. Your sentence is not clear. But no, it is. No, it makes no sense. And then you could also use cued activities by underlining words that are unique to each sentence, and include suggested words to help students combine. So those are some other things you could do. All right, so questions, comments, suggestions?
I have one question. You were talking about the, one of these, I don't know if it was the sentence, I think it was the sentence combining, make it flow. Was there a backside with that?
Oh, did you not get the back? Let me see.
Cause you, I don't know. Is that the
Maybe
same
that was
one?
my original. Oh, you didn't get the back. Okay.
Okay.
I can get that for you. I'll send you guys the digital files of these.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, when I was making copies, sometimes you forget to go front to back, and yeah, you say, yeah, I caught one yesterday, but apparently I didn't catch them all. So, yes.
And I think these would be good to do with intervention. I don't know, we gotta come up with a.
I got it on Friday.
Yes. Well, we can combine sentences tomorrow. That's what we can do.
Yeah, like it's at the
Yes,
end of
Miss
the
Bird.
I really like the Cubs self-editing checklist, but instead of giving this all to them all at once. Maybe at the beginning of the year, I might focus on one section of the
Yes.
checklist
Yes.
until you've built the whole thing. And then, that way, like I would start with the hardest ones first. Maybe understanding punctuation, and capitalization, whatever you, whatever order you want to organize it in. And that way, you're really only focusing on a couple of editing changes. And of course, the more they practice.
Yes, that's an excellent suggestion. Yeah, and like I said, these you can edit however you want. So you can take them, you can make them your own. I like to share. Okay. Any other questions?
You know, it's also, I mean, ChatGPT also would probably take, when you
Yes.
threw in a passage from Tangerine or something, it would probably pull simple sentences out of it to combine.
That's what I wanted to
Something
do.
we
I
don't
wanted
have
to
time do
pull.
ourselves.
That's what I wanted to do.
It
I pulled out the book, I was gonna go through and do sentences, and I'm like, I don't have time to go through and do this right now, so, okay,
I bet
chat
we could
GPT,
just-
give me some.
I bet we could copy a chapter, throw
Mhm.
it in, and tell it to pull out simple sentence facts to combine
Yes.
the sentences.
That would be good, that would be really good.
Yeah, it is good for time saving, like that.
Mhm.
That would take us,
You're good with
that would take us forever.
Yes, it
Yeah.
would. That's why I used it. I have started using ChatGPT a little more to, okay, I need a worksheet for this, or I need
Magic
this.
School AI does it too.
Yes,
There's a lot
we
of
need,
stuff
that's
that-
one thing, we need a training on Magic AI and how to
Yeah,
use
it said
it.
that in our technology
Yes.
committee, and I thought that was gonna.
Cause you
I
can
thought
make
it
those
was
That's
great.
classrooms and that, it's good,
Yeah.
cause you know, you can watch everything that they
I
do.
would love
they
a
do.
training on that.
I
Mhm.
we're on the technology
Yeah,
committee.
it's
and
really
Mhm.
good.
I thought we were gonna get that in maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Maybe next year. We'll see. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming out today. I'm glad you've got some things you can take away, because I'm one of those people, when I go to a professional learning, I want to take stuff away. And something that I can actually use. So again, I appreciate your time. I'll send this out to you. Take it, make it your own. And if you have questions, especially in our other subject areas, I'm more than happy to meet with you, and we can talk about some things we can use to incorporate writing into your subjects as well. All right, thank you.